President Trump has asked me to end the chronic disease epidemic and make America healthy again. And I'm
So
in a
is that the
unique
only reason why
position.
you're at HHS? Is that the
Excuse
only
me?
reason why then you're at the HHS, to address that one issue?
To address that one issue. Hold on.
Oh my God.
My understanding is that the executive order that was issued today, which I haven't seen, but I've read a summary
But let me
of,
ask you this then, because you keep citing the Trump administration and you're just going to follow what they say. Is that what you're doing? You're just a rubber stamp for them in this position? So anybody,
Trump.
so it doesn't matter that you're before us. It could be anybody coming before us, as long as they're a rubber stamp for this administration and disregarding your beliefs and what you think. I guess my question to you is, if it.
Yo, y'all ever wonder why Trump respects RFK Jr.? You ever wonder why, even when RFK Jr. was running against Trump, or I guess you could say running against Trump, but he's running as an independent, running against Trump, why Trump, I think only one time he said something like, when RFK Jr. was getting a lot of traction, Trump said something like a talking point that a lot of people use. I don't even know the word that he used, but everything other than that, he was always very complimentary of RFK Jr. Go back and look at RFK Jr. and his involvement with the Ramapo Lenape tribe up in North Jersey, and how there was RFK Jr. represented them. And there was I believe it was the same situation, or a couple different situations. One with the Ford plant that was up there because they were dumping waste into the Ramapo Lenape, into their land and destroying a lot of their land, causing a lot of issues, a lot of health issues. RFK Jr. represented them. There was also a similar situation with the Ramapo Lenape. They were kind of going against Trump with something, and I believe RFK Jr. was on the other side of it. And if you listen to Trump talk about RFK Jr., he says that I've always, respected him, always thought that he was an intelligent person, always. And a lot of my understanding is that he sees that RFK Jr. is willing to fight for something. And I think that Trump's been on the other side of it. So he respects it. But that's just to her point, trying to act like he's just a yes man when it comes to Trump. But let's just keep going.
It really is fundamental to what you believe. How do you live with that? How do you address those issues as you're moving forward,
You want me to
knowing
answer
that
the
it's going to
question,
harm
Senator?
Americans?
Mama Lay, I'm with you. I'm excited by him challenging things. But for some reason, even if you disagree with something that he says, don't we understand how important it is to have people that still challenge the powers that be? Let's say that we do realize that we're living in a country where we claim we're the greatest country in the world, but in a lot of ways, we are the most unhealthy. Matter of fact, I just heard something where, I don't know if it's this clip, but they were saying that when you look at the death rates of America due to 2020 and COVID, that the rate of Americans dying was significantly higher than this. Don't quote me on it, but I believe they said any other country, due to us being so unhealthy. So if we have such an unhealthy country and we do not have somebody challenging these organizations like the Food and Drug Administration, challenging big pharma and that industry, isn't that the problem? Why is it a problem? Why do we call somebody loony and allow somebody that's actually challenging it, somebody that's actually cares about environment, has a history of serving environmental needs, of prioritizing the citizens, American citizens, prioritizing our well-being, fought for impoverished communities in New York City to have the same water? Because I don't know if y'all are familiar, but one of the things that RFK Jr. fought for is New York City. They were to the impoverished communities in New York City, they were giving, like, the water that they were getting was coming from toxic areas. So if you've ever lived in New York used to have some of the best tap water in the country. I don't know if that's still the case, but so what they were doing, where they were sending the best water to all the affluent communities, but then they were giving all this toxic water to the impoverished communities. That's the type of guy that RFK Jr. is. That's who he is. That's who he's been for a very long time. But let's keep going.
Yeah.
You want me to answer the question?
No, I'm asking you.
Okay. President Trump has asked me to end the chronic disease epidemic and make America healthy again. And I'm
So
in a
is that the
unique
only reason
position.
why you're at HHS? Is that the
Excuse
only
me.
reason why then you're at the HHS to address that one issue?
To address that one issue. Hold on. Listen to what he just said.
Make America healthy again. That's me. End the chronic disease epidemic and make America healthy again.
President Trump wants me to end the chronic disease epidemic and make America healthy again. And listen to her response.
And I'm
So
in a
is that
unique
the only reason why
position.
you're at HHS?
Is the only reason that you're at HHS. Let me make sure that I'm correct on my acronyms. HHS. What is HHS? HHS stands for Health and Human Services. So when he says that President Trump put him in control of or wants him to fix this disease epidemic that we have and to make America healthy again, and then we have her responding saying, is this the only reason why you're here? Is there something else that he should be doing?
Is that the only reason why then you're at the HHS to address that one issue?
Make
President
America
Trump
healthy
has
again. That's
asked
the only
me
issue?
because I'm in a unique position to end that. And that is what I'm doing. And if we don't solve that problem, Senator, all of the other disputes we have about who's paying and whether it's insurance companies, whether it's providers, whether it's HMOs, whether it's patients or families, all of those are moving deck chairs around on the Titanic. Our ship is sinking.
That's the difference, once again, between politicians and business people. You're trying to do a whole bunch of other stuff rather than get to the root of the problem. That's what we talk about a lot on this show. When I say black people get bamboozled and manipulated, it's all with just focusing on the surface level issues and not getting to the actual root of it, whether it's DEI or anything else, whether it's the woke ideologies, all of it across the board. You're rearranging furniture on the Titanic. We are sinking. We have a huge health issue in our country. And you want to rearrange the furniture on the Titanic that is already sinking.
Whether it's HMOs, whether it's patients or families, all of those are moving deck chairs around on the Titanic. Our ship is sinking. Our 60% increase in Medicaid over the past 4 years is the biggest budget line now, and it's growing faster than any other. And no other nation in the world has what we have here. No other nation has a chronic disease. We have the highest chronic disease burden of any country in the world. We had, during COVID, we had 16% of the COVID deaths in a country. We only have 4.2% of the world's population. We had a higher death count than any country in the world. And when CDC was asked why, they said it's because Americans are the sickest people on earth. The average person who died from COVID, American, had 3.8 chronic diseases. This is an existential threat economically, to our military, to our health, to our sense of well-being. And it is a priority for President Trump. And that's why he asked me to run the agency. And if I'm privileged to be confirmed, that's exactly what I'll do.
Any more questions?
These are just extra.
All right. Alex Jones looking healthy. He looking like look at how he used to look. Now look at him. He looks younger than he did then. All right, let's move on. I wanted to show y'all that video. What did I say? That we had Caroline Kennedy. And hold on, Trump is such a polar person in this conversation. This is what I was talking about earlier. You know why people have a hard time when I ask them, what do you dislike about Trump? This is just my opinion. Here I go doing it again, right? This is just my opinion. These are all just my opinions. Don't be mad at me. Help me, educate me, tell me where I'm wrong. I'm cool with it. I can handle it. I can handle constructive criticism. Trust me. I've been cut before. Like, it's cool. I've been told you're not good enough for your dream. Yeah, you made it here. You're not good enough. Go home. We don't want you here. So I'm cool with the constructive criticism. I'm really good with it. In my opinion, the reason why people have a hard time of explaining why they like Trump is because I think that from a man's perspective, we sound very weak, maybe, or we think that we sound weak in saying the things what we really dislike about Trump. I'm going to use myself as an example. You know the things that I dislike about Trump? I thought that "Make America Great Again," that slogan, it was insensitive. You know, I thought that it was extremely insensitive. It's like, here you're talking about "Make America Great" when I'm a black person in this country, and it's hard for me to identify. This is the way I used to think. I kind of elaborated on this. I don't really want to dive into it deeper, but how I used to think, it's like, how can anybody say that America was ever great? It was never great for black people. And that's why I disliked it. I thought it was very sensitive. One of the reasons why I disliked him. Now, aside from all the reasons why I disliked him, because of the things like very fine people on both sides, where the media was just manipulating a lot of his points, a lot of his speeches, and cutting things off, acting as if he said he's talking about we already gone through this, where the whole Charlottesville thing, there's good people on both sides. And Trump clearly said, I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white supremacists. They should be condemned at all costs. But of course, I didn't find that out until 8 years later. Y'all already know that song and dance. I don't need to go down that path. The other reason that I think people dislike Trump is because he just seems mean. He seems a little mean. He seems arrogant. What else does he seem? Now, I'm not saying that I think all these things now, but I did used to think them. What else would I say? Things that I dislike about Trump. A lot of the things, in my opinion, are based on how he speaks to people. His arrogance that I just mentioned. A lot of the things where it's like, in all actuality, I shouldn't be offended by that. If you arrogant, I don't care. That's an emotional thing that I'm connected. Like, yo, what from a logical standpoint, how does that impact me? All of these politicians are arrogant, whether they show it or whether they just believe it. You don't think Barack Obama's arrogant when he tells you, hey, I'm talking to the brothers, I think that y'all just don't want to vote for Kamala because y'all don't want to see a woman as president. You don't think that that's an arrogant approach? To just target the brothers, but you don't ever target, you don't say, hey, Jewish people, you definitely should be voting for us, because you don't say, hey, Indians, you should be brothers. A lot of the reason, in my opinion, of why people can't, what's their go-to? Oh, we're going to bring up January 6th. The reason why they bring up January 6th, because it's a lot easier to bring up January 6th rather than just saying, I don't know, that guy there's just something about him. I just don't like him. Because it sounds very feminized when we say that. We don't sound like strong men when we say these things. And it's like, should this even be something that we consider for a leader? Yeah, there's a lot of leaders. Michael Jordan was arrogant. Michael Jordan was mean. Michael Jordan was a lot of these same characteristics that we can't stand in Donald Trump, but we all wanted to be like Mike. Make it make sense. Your favorite music artist is arrogant. Your favorite music artist may say some mean things. And now you're probably saying, well, I don't want that person leading the country, okay, cool. You know what's mean to me? What's mean to me is Barack Obama going to Flint, Michigan, when their water is toxic, and taking a fake sip of water, going like, yeah, the water's good. Your drinking water's good. To me, that's mean. But we think about the rhetoric. Oh, he said grab him by the P. Okay, which is worse, Trump saying grab him by the P, or Barack Obama convincing little parents and their little babies to drink on water that he knows is not safe? Which is meaner? Right now that we're judging people based on who's mean, a lot of leaders are mean. Bill Belichick may be seen as mean. A lot of leaders are like that. Matter of fact, I'll be totally honest with you. When I think back to my high school days with a lot of my friends and the position that I took on the team, you know, I was a captain, but I'll be totally honest. I was looking out for me. I didn't fit, and I want to be very specific when it comes to this. I wasn't, when I say I'm looking out for me, I wasn't putting pressure on people to, yo, y'all don't go out tonight. Yo, y'all make sure that y'all studying y'all playbook. Y'all didn't. I wasn't that type of player. I'm not going out. I'm going to get a lot of rest. I'm going to perform well in the game. Y'all figure out what y'all need to do on y'all own. But maybe I should have been more me, because I didn't want to be the type of player or the type of, I didn't want to be the type of teammate that was telling other people what to do. But that's what a leader does. A leader makes you uncomfortable, puts you on the spot, tells you certain things that you may not want to hear. But it doesn't matter, because they prioritize getting us to a certain place rather than prioritizing our feelings. Matter of fact, everybody, you know what a lot of people say in sports? That guy's an asshole, but I want him on my team, though. I hate playing against him, but I would love having him on my team. Donald Trump is on our team right now. So maybe we should appreciate some of the things that, oh yeah, take that funding away. You're going to prioritize America first? You're going to prioritize us Americans? Yeah. We want somebody that's an a-hole maybe in prioritizing our needs first. Not caring and caring about the rest of the world to the point where we're now putting ourselves in danger, where we have a defunded police department and a defunded and an underfunded, I should say, fire department. A lot of people don't want to take on that a-hole role when it comes to being a leader. A lot of people can't handle being talked about like Tom Brady. They want to be loved like Peyton. Well, Brady has a lot more rings than Peyton. Let's just leave it there. It's 11:11. All right. Let me play this last video for y'all with RFK's cousin, and then we'll wrap it up from there. All right, where you at? All right, Caroline Kennedy. Y'all listen to this. This is hard to watch. I'm probably just gonna let most of it play because it's 6 minutes long, and I gotta get some rest. I know y'all do too.
Dear Senators, throughout the past year, people have asked for my thoughts about my cousin Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and his presidential campaign. I did not comment, not only because I was serving in a government position as United States Ambassador to Australia, but because I have never wanted to speak publicly about my family members and their challenges. We are a close generation of 28 cousins who have been through a lot together. We know how hard it's been, and we are always there for each other. But now that Bobby has been nominated by President Trump to be Secretary of Health and Human Services, a position that would put him in charge of the health of the American people, I feel an obligation to speak out. Overseeing the FDA, the NIH, the CDC, and Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, agencies that are charged with protecting the most vulnerable among us, is an enormous responsibility, and one that Bobby is unqualified to fill. He lacks any relevant government, financial, management, or medical experience. His views on vaccines are dangerous and willfully misinformed. These facts alone should be disqualifying. But he has personal qualities related to this job, which for me pose even greater concern. I've known Bobby my whole life. We grew up together. It's no surprise that he keeps birds of prey as pets, because Bobby himself is a predator. He's always been charismatic, able to attract others through the strength of his personality, his willingness to take risks and break the rules. I watch his younger brothers and cousins follow him down the path of drug addiction. His basement, his garage, his dorm room were always the center of the action, where drugs were available, and he enjoyed showing off how he put baby chickens and mice in a blender to feed to his hawks. It was often a perverse scene of despair and violence. That was a long time ago, and people can change. Through his own strength and the many second chances he was given by people who felt sorry for the boy who lost his father, Bobby was able to pull himself out of illness and disease. I admire the discipline that took and the continuing commitment it requires. But siblings and cousins who Bobby encouraged down the path of substance abuse suffered addiction, illness, and death, while Bobby has gone on to misrepresent, lie, and cheat his way through life. Today, while he may encourage a younger generation to attend AA meetings, Bobby is addicted to attention and power. Bobby preys on the desperation of parents of sick children, vaccinating his own kids while building a following hypocritically discouraging other parents from vaccinating theirs. Even before he fills this job, his constant denigration of our healthcare system and the conspiratorial half-truths he's told about vaccines, including in connection with Samoa's deadly 2019 outbreak of measles, have cost lives. And now we know that Bobby's crusade against vaccination has benefited him in other ways too. His ethics report makes clear that he will keep his financial stake in a lawsuit against an HPV vaccine. In other words, Bobby is willing to profit and enrich himself by denying access to a vaccine that can prevent almost all forms of cervical cancer and has already been safely administered to millions of boys and girls. During my time in Australia, I worked on the Quad Cancer Initiative, and I learned that cervical cancer is among the top 3 forms of cancer among women in a majority of countries. Tragically, every year, more than 200,000 children lose their mothers. They are orphaned due to a lack of vaccines and screening. Those are the real-world consequences of Bobby's irresponsible beliefs. We are a close family, and none of that is easy to say. It also wasn't easy to remain silent last year.
Is that why you have to read it, ma'am? And you can't just communicate it?
When Bobby expropriated my father's image and distorted President Kennedy's legacy to advance his own failed presidential campaign, and then groveled to Donald Trump for a job.
I have to stop it because I just want y'all to keep in mind as you're watching this, these people work for the Democratic Party. Like they have all, like a lot of them, a lot of his family members have jobs within this whole political realm, and they're all Democrats. RFK Jr. was a Democrat, but he left because the principles, as he'll say, the Democratic Party left him. He didn't leave the Democrats. The Democrats changed a lot of their principles, in my opinion. However, some people decide to stay, some people decide to leave. But her saying all these things, it's just pretty wild to me. It's pretty wild. And for her to say all these things, but for us to not take into account that the Democrats want her to say this. It's kind of like we're just going to ignore that bias that's clearly there. But I don't know, to each their own.
Bobby continues to grandstand off my father's assassination and that of his own father.
Also keep in mind that for them to be involved in politics so much on the Democratic side, why does it take a Republican president and Donald Trump to be the one to release the files or to declassify the files of your father JFK and your uncle RFK being killed? Matter of fact, a lot of the families I saw, like the grandson, I don't know, some of the family members are just saying stuff. You can clearly tell they're just saying stuff to say stuff. But they were upset with Trump for, like, why would you not want to know these things? And in my opinion, this is why a lot of them have jobs within the Democratic Party or in relation to them somehow. It's because they know that, well, all this is alleged. Let's just keep going.
It's incomprehensible to me that someone who is willing to exploit their own painful family tragedies for publicity would be put in charge of America's life and death situations. Unlike Bobby, I try not to speak for my father, but I am certain that he and my Uncle Bobby, who gave their lives in public service to our country, and my Uncle Teddy, who devoted his long Senate career to the cause of improving health care, would be disgusted.
I try not to speak to my father, but let me tell you what my father would say.
The American healthcare system, for all its flaws, is the envy of the world. Its doctors and nurses, for all, would be disgusted. The American healthcare system, for all its flaws, is the envy of the world.
I don't think that that's true. Not the healthcare system, maybe the overall country. Matter of fact, what's funny is the healthcare system may be one of the only areas that other countries do not envy when it comes to America. Like, that's one of the only things that if I was looking at it from another country, I would not envy. Healthcare, the Food and Drug Administration, which is why other countries, McDonald's case in point, why does McDonald's have 3 ingredients in Europe at their McDonald's in their French fries, with salt being one of them, and that's optional, compared to the amount of ingredients? It's like, I think like 16 or 17 ingredients down here. I'm just wondering why. So I don't think other countries envy us when it comes to our healthcare system, that we're one of the only large countries on our scale that you can still advertise pharmaceuticals on TV. I don't think a lot of other countries are envying that. Other countries may envy the stuff that comes along with that, like the amount of money that our country makes based on not prioritizing our country's health, the citizens in our country, and just profiting off of it. They may be envious of the profit, but I don't think they're envious of how we're going about the profit, unless they're just as evil as a lot of these other people that are totally fine with our country being as unhealthy as possible because they know that that's going to line their pockets.
Its doctors and nurses, researchers, scientists, and caregivers are the most dedicated people I know. Every day they give their lives to heal and save others. They deserve a knowledgeable leader who is committed to heal.
Hold up, what?
Its doctors and nurses, for all its flaws, is the envy of the world. Its doctors and nurses, researchers, scientists, and caregivers are the most dedicated people I know.
If all of this is true, and we have the greatest healthcare system in the world, then why did our population die at a higher rate from COVID than all of these other countries that do not have the healthcare system that we have? Does that make sense to y'all? We have the best healthcare system, right? All these other countries envy it. Matter of fact, it's so good that our citizens died at a higher rate from COVID than all of these other countries that are far less than when it comes to comparing them to America.
Every day they give their lives to heal and save others. They deserve a knowledgeable leader who is committed to evidence and excellence. They deserve a secretary committed to advancing cutting-edge medicine to save lives, not to rejecting the advances we have already made. They deserve a stable, moral, and ethical person at the helm of this crucial agency. They deserve better than Bobby Kennedy, and so do the rest of us. I urge the Senate to reject his nomination. Sincerely, Carolyn Kennedy.
Well, the immigration crack.
Well. Uncle Brother in the building. Yeah, I'm confused as to where she's going. Uncle Brother wrote she's going to the bank with all that big pharma dough. I agree. It's Dak. Just want to thank you for checking out our video and visiting the OG Network. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure that you give us a like. And if you're looking to join a community of inspired individuals striving for purposeful abundance, subscribe. And if you're feeling real